Member for Maple Ridge Mission.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'd first like to take the opportunity to thank all the people who helped me to have the honour of representing Maple Ridge and Mission in this House. My team, Sophia Kreutzkamp, my campaign manager, Ken Howie, our treasurer and financial agent, Darcy Thiessen, Tanya Fredett, Jordana Feist, Lisa Langen, Sabrina Daniels, and Ryan Chaput. Thank you for running a stellar and ultimately successful campaign. The member of Maple Ridge Pitt Meadows and her team, including manager Corleen Carreras, who was also my federal campaign manager, Bridget De Lima and Amber Bramer at our shared campaign office. Thank you so much. My amazing executive, Neil Goudreau, Kirsten Duncan, Marie Baldassi, Steve Burtonshaw, Ken Howie, Dave Smith, John McKenzie, Susan Orr, Paula Blamey, Chaitanya, Janet Amsden, Michelle Dickinson, Mel Van Dreck, Bob Gose, Michael Nen, Nanise Katolik, Carolyn Rice, Craig Spears, Scott Sussin, and Bobby Brar. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And thanks to the hundreds of volunteers who I can't possibly name here. Some of these, though, I really need to mention out loud. Nancy McCurrick, Steve Badgewa, Bill McPherson, Bill Young, Colby Sparks, Matt Chiliak, Priscilla Omulo, Shauna Shepston, Chantel Morvay Adams, and her son Wyatt, our trusted train conductor, Randy Carmen and Daniela Cairns, Nicole Seguin, Sharon Manson-Singer, Sean Orcutt, Debbie Noseworthy, Darlene Morey, Bonnie Clovance, Susan Elliott, John McKenzie, Chris McKee, and all the firefighters in my riding, Richard Tones, and Linda King. Amazing. They did an amazing amount of work, and thank you so much. But I'd like to single out Alex Kerwin-Wallace. Now, Alex was a 10-year-old, a grade 10, during the campaign, and he came out 2 to 3 times per week, knocking on doors, answering phones, and pretty well doing everything we asked. And he's now our youth representative and the face of a new generation of volunteers. And I can't tell you how exciting it is to see young people engaging in the political process. I always smile when I hear young volunteers and voters yell, "Go Bobby D!" whenever they see me. It's true. I would also like to thank Mayor Nicole Reid and Mayor Randy Hawes and their councils for welcoming me and showing me a willingness to work together. And the same goes for MP Dan Rumi, who, while defeating me in the federal election, has shown a great deal of class in looking for solutions that can work for our shared community. I look forward to rolling up our sleeves and working on the many challenges facing us in the upcoming years. Mr. Speaker, I'm also proud of my relationship with the local Aboriginal communities and look forward to continuing to work with Chiefs Susan Miller of the Katzie First Nation, Marilyn Gabriel of the Kwantlen First Nation, and the various chiefs of the Stolo First Nations on reconciliation and the other issues facing their communities. It was wonderful spending time together at the recent BC Cabinet and First Nations Leaders Gathering in Vancouver, where there was a clear optimism for the future of Aboriginal peoples in British Columbia. I want to also acknowledge the support of my amazing wife, Kim, and my 5 children who make me proud every day. They all agreed to let me take on this very demanding job, which takes all of us away from home. I love you all very much. Wilf McIntyre, my mentor, confidant, motivator, and man who would not let up until I ran for the federal election. Thank you. He's calling me from up there, I think.
Yes.
I miss you. I missed you during the provincial election. But I thought of you every day. I could hear you every morning encouraging me with that growly voice of yours to get up and get to work. I'm sure you're smiling down on us right now. This one's for you, buddy. I'm sure that every person in this house recognizes that we are here only because of the hard work, dedication, passion, and commitment of people willing to volunteer hundreds of hours of their time. Thank you. Now, Honourable Speaker, in reflecting on the budget update, I was reminded why I originally was motivated to run for office. In my case, I was working as executive director in a nonprofit arts sector, and in 2008, all of our funding was cut by the BC Liberals. When I responded to this in an interview in the press, I was summoned to an audience with the then minister. He basically told me that if I said anything bad about his government, my organization would never see another dime. My board was terrified, and I was effectively muzzled for years. Well, I'm not one to be bullied. This moment lit a spark in me to try and effect change in our government by stepping up to the plate. Once I became involved in the long process of trying to get elected in my community, I realized that my experience with the BC Liberal government of austerity was common. Cuts to mental health, cuts to education, cuts to services with people with disabilities, and the list goes on. It's been 16 years of bad choices and neglect, and now it's time to fix these problems by putting people first. That is why I'm so excited here to support the budget update presented by our Minister of Finance. This update clearly shows that our government is listening to the people of British Columbia and the people of my constituency as well, and investing in them, while at the same time being fiscally responsible. The BC Liberals do not have a monopoly on fiscal prudence. In fact, the great Tommy Douglas balanced 7 consecutive balanced budgets while introducing universal health care to Canada. It is, and it always will be, about choices. We choose to listen to the needs of people of British Columbia and invest in people. Honourable Speaker. Oh, hello. New speaker. Hello. Maple Ridge and Mission are growing communities where we have both urban and rural issues. We have local farmers, a large percentage of commuters, and an exploding housing market. We have, like many other communities, a homeless crisis and a growing housing shortage. Now, right now, my constituency staff, Sophia Kreutzkamp and Alison Copeland, are working with one constituent who's on disability who recently lost her housing. She's now forced to live in a tent and in her car, afraid for her life. Now, this budget is a step in the right direction so that the many people in our community like her who've been struggling due to the 16 years of neglect by the BC Liberals will be addressed. The budget announces $291 million over 2 years to construct 2,000 modular supporting housing units for people who are homeless. This announcement will directly impact on my community, ensuring that we have new opportunities to deal with the homeless issue in both Maple Ridge and Mission. This budget update will allow my colleagues and I to work with local governments, First Nations, nonprofit associations, developers, and the federal government to start to tackle the problems left by our former Liberal MLAs. When I was door knocking, one of the constituents told me about the lack of rental housing. She's living in a very small basement suite, Madam Speaker, and she is paying $1,500 a month, and she's living on disability. And that means she's being forced to choose between shelter and food, and that's unacceptable. This budget announces $208 million over 4 years to support the construction of more than 1,700 of new units of affordable rental housing in communities across the province. The affordable housing crisis is huge all over BC, and people in BC at Maple Ridge and Mission are feeling the squeeze. Building affordable rental housing in our area will start to take the pressure off of the rental market and off renters. I'm also pleased that the government is continuing to move forward with initiatives in my community. In Maple Ridge, BC Housing is providing capital funding for the Maple Ridge Pitt Meadows Community Services, and a shout out to Vicki Kipps and her amazing team at Community Services, develop over 60 new units of affordable housing for low-income seniors and families. The project is located on 228th Street in Maple Ridge, and we're really excited about that. In Mission, BC Housing is providing a capital funding to Habitat for Humanity BC affiliate of $200,000 to complete 4 townhouses that will house 4 families. This is the first phase of a 19-unit townhouse complex. In addition, BC Housing is providing $15 million in capital funding for 40 units of transitional housing and shelter space for men and women in Mission. And this is, again, very exciting. In addition to the capital expenditures, the Minister of Finance is also announcing that the Residential Tenancy Board will get $7 million in funding to deal with the backlog of issues. And this is welcome news to the many people in my community frustrated with the process.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, Madam Speaker, while people in my community have been living paycheck to paycheck, they've been hit by the unfair MSP premium and bridge tolls. The Golden Ears Bridge is a beautiful structure. The problem has been for years that many people didn't use the bridge because of the tolls. The joke was you could play a game of street hockey on the bridge and you wouldn't have to yell car very often because there's not that many cars. Well, removing the tolls has not only increased the use of the bridge, it's made life significantly more affordable for many people, including those north of the Fraser. Thank you. I have a constituent who owns a business right by the Golden Ears Bridge, and a lot of his work is in Langley and Surrey, so all of his workers are constantly using the bridge. The savings to his business alone will be huge. He's spending thousands of dollars a month before September 1st. Also, reducing the small business tax from 2.5 to 2% will also have a huge impact on his bottom line. And we're showing our commitment to help small business. My daughter Amy and many of her friends are students from my community, and they're studying all over south and north of the Fraser, University of Fraser Valley, Douglas, VCC, UBC, CAP, all over the place. And none of them could afford the tolls. Well, now they have an alternate route and often faster route to their institutions, and they're really excited about that. There's also many people north of the Fraser who work south of the Fraser. And these commuters, people that are traveling to Vancouver every day. And they're spending over $1,500 per person per year. And that's just unfair. Until now, we've taken the tolls off these bridges. That's already having a huge impact on people's lives, easing traffic congestion and making life more affordable by getting real dollars back into people's pockets. Madam Speaker, as far as education, I have 5 children, Sheldon, Braden, Amy, Cameron, and Aaron. Love you. Who, with their many friends, have never experienced the benefits of a fully funded school system. I'm very...
Maiden speech.
I appreciate that the member is showing me the respect of someone who's actually had experience in the House. Thank you. I'm very pleased that this budget invests in public education in students so that we can give students the best chances of success in the future. We're continuing to move forward with initiatives such as the South Albion Elementary School, which is going to accommodate 585 student spaces and NLC spaces in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, and that's $24.4 million. $681 million over 3 years to help our kids get the education they deserve with smaller class sizes, more resources, and supports they need to succeed, including hiring approximately 3,500 new teachers. $50 million to ensure that space requirements for kids get back to schools are also addressed. Now, while the Albion School project in my riding is an exciting project, it's 10 years late. My children and their families and their friends were forced to learn in portables. In fact, the last portable on their Albion Elementary School was put across the track, so they couldn't even have a sports day. I'm really excited that we have a new elementary school coming, but it should have happened years and years ago. In addition, we're increasing funding for education, not because the Supreme Court has forced us to, Mr. Member, but because we believe in a strong public education system. While the BC Liberals robbed my children and their friends of properly funded schools, I'm proud of the fact that the next generation of children will benefit from smaller classrooms and more support, especially for special needs kids in our system. I'm glad to hear that your private schools are working well for you. Well, we need to take care of our children.
Members,
thank you.
All comments will be directed through the chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, we need to take care of our children. That's okay. I like the heckling. It's good. Bring it on. While we need to take care of our children, we also need to take care of our seniors. Hearing stories of seniors just getting 15 minutes visits a week has been heartbreaking. When I was campaigning, I met many seniors who are simply not getting the care they deserve. We're looking after seniors by improving access to home and community care with $189 million over 3 years through a BC federal agreement. It's so important in Maple Ridge and Mission. We have an amazing seniors community. I'm so pleased that our new government is taking steps to make sure that the people who built our province are provided the service and the highest level of dignity and respect that they deserve. Madam Speaker, we're investing in other services that people count on as well. Raising the monthly payment to people with disabilities by $100 a month is a great step in the right direction to helping these citizens. In fact, when I was recently at the Mission Fest, which is an annual event that we have in Mission in the downtown core, I was greeted by a running hug by a disabled woman who was working in the booth next to ours when I arrived. She was so excited about the increase that she told me that it had made a huge impact on her life. Now, I know many members will say, what, $100 a month may not seem like a lot of money to people, but to her, it meant the difference that she could make to make healthier choices about the food that she was eating. And I can't wait to tell her that she's getting her bus pass back in January, too. She'll probably knock me right over. Honorable Speaker, making life more affordable, improving services, and providing well-paying, sustainable jobs is the backbone of our vision for BC. Having the opportunity to implement the changes that BC has been crying out for many years is an amazing thing. This budget represents the start of a new government and a new approach to governing that puts people first. I know that my constituents in Maple Ridge and Mission have already felt the positive effects of our new policies, and they're feeling hopeful that more positive change is on the way. I look forward to listening to the people of BC while we shape our first budget for the spring of 2018. In the meantime, this budget update shows at the province that we are serious about the changes that we promised, and we are acting on those changes now. And to close, in the immortal words of Tommy Douglas, courage, my friends, 'tis not too late to build a better world. Thank you.